Peace. Good morning, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice, like I always say, but it is true and actual and factual that consistency can create currency. It really depends on you. And because consistency depends on you, that means the consistency comes with choices that you make. Consistency comes with deliberate action. Peace. Good morning. Consistency comes with deliberate action. Consistency comes with true intentions. But what are your intentions with your consistency in order for it to create some sort of currency? You know, people can want things. Peace. Good morning, Mr. Justin. I ain't seen you in a minute. All the way from Austin. Consistency will make things better. Consistency is like practice. You know, practice doesn't really, some people say practice make perfect. No, not necessarily. You know, I heard Eric Thomas, he said practice makes permanent. You know, I can see that more than practice makes perfect, because you're never going to be perfect. There's going to be down days. There's going to be times where you just don't feel like doing anything. There's going to be moments to where the things that you're doing is not actually working in your favor. So by doing it and exercising it, it can put you in a place of perfect peace and permanently allow you to know that you can do it over and over again. That's where your consistency comes from. So that's what this podcast is always about: how to create consistency and maintain it in order for you to put yourself in position to win over and over again. So like always, we always start with gratitude. I appreciate everybody that's watching, whether you're watching on YouTube, Consistency is Currency YouTube, or watching it live as well on Facebook and listening to it in the podcast perspective, whether it's iHeartRadio, where are we at? Spotify, Anchor, Facebook podcast, as well as Google Podcast. So you can find us on all of those platforms. Listen to it, how you want to listen to it. But I will say, for those that just watch it on Facebook Live and YouTube, it is much better on the podcast. I'm just saying. Well, on a podcast platform, you got different music in the background and stuff like that. So I would say check that out. It's definitely going to give you a different feel. So this mic is tripping. So today is something that, all right, transparent moment. So I had went to a men's conference this past weekend, went to Eric Thomas men's conference, which was very powerful. So brothers out there, if you ever, this year was his first one. So it was a huge turnout. There had to be at least 450 men out there. The whole thing was packed. But I was just so happy to be in that space and to learn from the talent that took the stage, and to actually see, the individual that I've watched on YouTube. So just being in that space with a bunch of men speaking and understanding what we want to do. It was a 360 men's conference, and the brothers was actually showed up. So that's where that came from. The name of the podcast is Consistency is Currency. You see it up at the top. No, right there. Yeah, right there. So yeah, check it out. All right, so we're going to be talking about connection is a choice. And that was one of the things that I learned out there that they said. And when I heard connection is a choice, I actually took a seat back and I sat down, and I was already sitting down, but I actually laid back, sat back, and I was like, wow, that's deep, because it is. Let's think about it. And I want to hear from you. Connection is a choice. I want you to just dive into that. Connection is a choice. And I want you to think about that. And what does that mean to you? Connection is a choice. How is connection a choice for you? Put that in the chat. Because when you look at connection as being a choice of yours, I promise you will be able to make more meaningful connections or have more meaningful connectivity. Whether it's having connectivity with yourself, or having connectivity with others that are around you, or having connectivity that has a actual purpose with it, and not you just connecting with people just to say you connecting with people. Because I know a lot of people that do that. Well, not really a lot of people, because that's not the type of circle that I run in. I know people that do that just to say, oh, I know this person or I know that person, but what is the meaning behind it? What is the intentions behind it? Not everybody's intention of connectivity is the same. So that's when you have to begin to understand that what are the choices that you make, whether you're staying connected with this individual or this thing, or disconnecting yourself at that point and from that point. So, all right, so let's go ahead and jump into it, because this right here, um, I think for me, I had to learn this the hard way, and some of you probably, probably the same thing. Connectivity is sometimes difficult. So if connectivity is difficult, connection is can share that same difficulty, because it is a choice that you make. You can't blame it on anybody else. You can't point the finger at no one else. You can't look at it from a selfish perspective, because you had something to do with it. So we're going to dial this back. We're going to peel this onion back, and we're going to put ourselves in a position to know that because connection is a choice, that means it has to start with you. No outside influence, no outside fingers being pointed at anybody else, nothing that is that relatively is relating to someone else. We're talking about, why do you make the decisions that you make when it comes to making the connections that you make? Because trust and believe, the you now at this age and your choice of friends should be different than how you make your friends in high school. I mean, if you're 45 and you still got the same type of people that you ran the streets with when you were 21, and you're still doing the same thing, I don't see how that connection is still beneficial with growing into the future you. Now, you still may have friends, you know, friends that you've known since the 8th grade, but you have adjusted and adapted to a new way of life and a new way of thinking. So there should have been some sort of evolution during that time to get to where you are right now. Peace. Good morning, Miss Anderson. Welcome back. That's 2 days. All right, it's 2 days. All right, so for those that know the platform, you're going to learn definition of words, and then you're going to also learn, and depend on, what I find and how I want to go with it, you're going to go into the etymology of it, to where you're looking at the origin. So you're going to learn. So the first word that we're going to be talking about is choice. I kind of inverted it because, of course, the title said connections is a choice, but I want to go with choice first before we go with connections, because your choice is your why. Your choice could also be your how, because your connection is your what. So now let's go into the why before we go and transition into the what, because a lot of times we get lost in the what because we forgot our why. So by definition, it says that choice is an act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. I'm going to say it again. An act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. So the inversion on this is white over red. We have new guests. So the inversion is white over red. So inversion means you're looking at the words that are in white. So we're taking the definition that has always been pushed on us, and then I invert the definition to give it a much more relative feel to where we are right now, or just to the subject that we're speaking about, by using definitions. Again, everything and every definition that I'm telling you, you can always go back and reference it for yourself. So the inversion on this is white over red, an act of selecting a decision or possibilities, because your connection could create possibilities for you. The decisions that you make can create more opportunities for you, but you have to select it. It's not something that you're waiting for, but it's something that you have to actively do if you want to create the outcome that you had set for yourself when a decision was made. So the act of selecting, that means you're purposefully and with intent of making a decision or possibilities. Again, I'm just giving you the definition. and we're putting it into something that could be much more relative to you, or something that you can relate to. Because remember, we're talking about connection is a choice. So now we're going to your what. The what is the connection. It could be the who too, but the what is the connection. So connection is a relationship in which a person, thing, or idea is linked or associated with something else. So the inversion on this is red over white. A relationship linked or associated with. With, the reason why I left it at with, because that becomes your why. You have to you connect it to with, because you can put whatever you want after with. A relationship linked or associated with sports, or the relationship linked or associated with business, the relationship linked or associated with technology, the relationship linked or associated with family. Y'all see how it is? Because it is a choice. You make those choices to connect with other like-minded individuals. You make choices to connect with those who understand sometimes your thought processes and your concepts. But it is a choice that you made. Because if choice is an act of selecting a decision or possibility of the relationship that is linked or associated you with that person or with that thing. Again, as you're watching the things that resonate with you, go ahead and put it into the chat, because when people watch it on the replay, I mean, I know it's not just me. Sometimes I go into the comments before, or as I'm listening to things, I also look into the comments to see what other people say, just so they might be able to pull something out that I probably didn't pull out. So now I'm looking at their relevant information. So if there's something that resonates with you, go ahead and put it inside the chat, because it resonated. So now you're getting it out because you have made a choice to connect with the things that was said. Yeah, see how I flipped that? All right, bet. All right. So now we're going to take this deep dive, because we're going into connection as a choice, because we live with ourselves every day. So why do Mr. R2, why do you feel we need to pause and understand that connection is a choice? I'm going to tell you why. Because we can trick ourselves, we can hide from other people, we can do things knowingly that motivates us or demotivates us. But you have to understand, but if you make the effort to connect with yourself and to understand the connection is a choice, you can then actually reap the benefits of the choices that you made. Ooh, that's deep. That's deep. Let me see if I can remember it. If you make a conscious effort to truly connect with yourself and to understand that connection is a choice, you then have or possess the opportunity to reap the benefits of the choices that you've made. Why? Because it was a choice in why you wanted to connect with that person. It was a choice why you wanted to connect with that business. It was a choice why you wanted to connect with the organization. It was a choice why you wanted to connect with that church. It was a choice why you wanted to connect with him or with her. So when you make that choice, you can actually reap the benefits of the choices that you made, because you understand, or you understood, that connection is now a choice. It is the act of making a decision. So now we're jumping into connection as a choice. There's 4 things that I want you to pay attention to, because it's going to allow you to look at those choices from a different perspective. So the first thing, the first factor that I want you to pay attention with choice is I want you to see what you see. See what you see. We already have enough people in our lives that's striving to point things out to us, to point the finger either at you or to give you their take on it. Everybody got 2 pennies in their pocket when it comes to a conversation, but who is actually ready to listen to you or to see you? But I want you to now see what you see. Your point of view is just as important as anyone else's. The decision that you're making is important to you because it is your choice to connect. So unconsciously and consciously, we visualize things that will either give us, pleasure, or it'll give us fear. But you have to understand that when you imagine the negative outcomes and you think of ways that you can try to protect yourself in certain cases, in certain situations, you have to understand that you can also imagine positive outcomes the same way you just imagine the negative outcomes. So see what you see, because when you enjoy also the positive outcomes, you have the ability to enjoy your upcoming vacation or your upcoming book signing or whatever it is, because you're making the choice to connect with your happy space. You're making the choice to connect with things that make you smile. You've made the choice to connect with the reality that you can put yourself in a position to receive the benefits of a good thing, because you altered how you saw that. So you see what you see. You see yourself starting that business. You've seen yourself buying that new car. You've seen yourself in that marriage, or you've seen yourself in that situation, or you've seen yourself saving your money and having the ability to invest into something, because you've made a choice to connect with that type of thought. And when you make the choice to connect with that type of thought, then you understand that those choices that you made to connect with that thought can then transition into be something that becomes consistent. I am consistent with having good thoughts. I'm consistent with putting myself in perfect peace. I am consistent with putting myself and being connected to my tranquility. I am consistent with making a choice that is going to be beneficial to my health, because I don't want to dwell in the midst of the chaos. So I am going to disconnect myself to connect myself to the right choices, because visualization could be a double-edged sword, because the same thing you see that can tear you down is the same vision that you can begin to possess that can begin to build you up. So what choices have you connected with that is going to give you or allow you to reap the benefits of the harvest by you planting good seeds? I'm gonna leave that alone, because that can be deep. I can go in a whole nother direction with planting good seeds. That, I don't know, that might be tomorrow. But the second thing that I want you to pay into is to accept your thoughts and emotions. You have to accept it. We already have enough people in our lives that's trying to get you to accept them, or trying to get you to accept that. But you have to be consciously aware that connection is your choice, because the key to connecting with choice is to actually accept our decisions without judgment of our own self, or judgment of how someone else feel, because you have to accept that thought and that emotion. You have to accept the energy that you deal with when you are in this particular space. And you also could possibly begin to accept the energy that you created, being transparent enough to say, you know what, I created that emotion. I created that. So therefore, the things that I'm reaping in this benefit is not working in my favor, because I created that energy. Accepting that thought and then looking at what are the things that I need to connect with. I can only be held accountable for the how I react to a certain things, and I accept that. But now I'm looking at, why does that connect with fear, or why does that connect with tears, or why did that connect with the pain? You're not judging yourself on what happened, but you're trying to dig deep and connect yourself with the why. Mm. Now you you begin to engage with enjoyable solo activities. It's okay to be by yourself. Sometimes it's going to take you being by yourself, making the choice to be by yourself in order for you to choose the right things that you want to connect with. That might be a hard one for somebody. Somebody out there was like, "Ooh, I don't know how to do that." Yes, you do. You just haven't made the choice to do it yet. You just haven't become active. You just didn't go out and exercise. You didn't go out and go for a walk by yourself or get in the car, fuel up. I mean, I know gas is kind of high. It's kind of going down now. It's like 409. You you didn't fill up the tank and go for a long drive. But when you engage in those enjoyable activities, don't you know sometimes those things allow you to think clearer? It allows you to put things in a different perspective because you're engaging in those enjoyable solo activities. You don't always need to be around somebody in order for you to feel good about yourself. It is a choice to connect. It doesn't always necessarily mean I choose to connect with somebody. How about you choose to connect with yourself? I don't care about your divorce and you was with somebody for so long and you don't know how to be by yourself. Yes, you do. That is a choice that you've made to even hold true to that notion that you can't. Because I'm gonna tell you, you can. I don't care if it takes you to do it one step at a time or one day at a time. Do it. And I promise you, when you do it, it will tell you that you can do it again. Find those enjoyable moments. Find those enjoyable solo activities because it may open your mind to understand how it is best for you to connect with yourself even after a bad situation. And the last thing that I want you to begin to build, which it could be hard for other people, but I want you to understand that sometimes choosing to connect is letting go of expectations. I mean, this can be hard for a whole lot of people. Sometimes choosing to create a connection means letting go of expectations. This could be a hard one. Sometimes it's hard for me, and if it's hard for you, I mean, just be honest and put the truth out there, put it on the table and say, man, this is a hard one for me. I'm still working on it. You know, that you can be open, honest, and transparent enough to say, I am working on this one. I am not good at this one. This one for me is is a very trying thing for me to do. Letting go of expectations in order for you to have or even possess the possibilities of connecting with either yourself or connecting with others. Because if you always possess the capability to look at the bad side, so then your expectations controlled your choices, your emotions controlled the thought process that you're going to have because you put so much expectations on the bad outcome that you don't even or you can't see what you see anymore because you have those false expectations or you have those negative beliefs or you had or have those limited beliefs. Let go of the expectation. Now, it may be, as some people say, easier said than done, but be transparent enough to say that. Now, if you're working on this or have or even strive to work on this, do it one thing at a time. Create whatever it looks like for you. Develop what the next steps are for you. If the expectations have pulled you away from your blessing, then look at the expectation of what it is. Again, remember, when you're looking at it from an honest and transparent perspective, you have the ability to see where that thought came from. And when you're looking at that thought and knowing where it came from, then you have the possibility of understanding that, you know what? That is just something that I created. It was something that was in my mind. It was an emotion that I was carrying, and that emotion that I was carrying actually poured into a situation that it had nothing to do about. You created the connectivity between your fears and your faith, or your purpose and the possibilities. You've disconnected the two. So make choices to connect with the right way of thinking. Make choices to connect with the right people that you're supposed to be around. Because for me, I said it before and I will always say it again. There's 3 pillars that I always live by and I will forever live by it. I just want to be where I'm supposed to be. I just want to be doing what I am supposed to be doing. And I only want to be around who I'm supposed to be around. That's my connectivity factor. Be where you're supposed to be, do what you are supposed to be doing, and be around who you're supposed to be around. Or you know who you're not supposed to be around. You know what that feels like when you're around certain people's energy. And you be like, nah, this is not where I'm supposed. This is not where I'm supposed to be. And then you disconnect yourself in order for you to move those things out of the way. Because if there's a blessing after the disconnect, then allow yourself to disconnect, because it may be time for you to plug into something greater. And because you've disconnected from that thing that you know you wasn't supposed to connect with, it gives you room to connect with something greater, because you've seen past your situation that could allow you to see something that you were supposed to see, but you had that mask of emotion, that mask of doubt, that mask of fear, that mask of self-sabotage, that you didn't allow yourself to see past your situation. You didn't allow yourself to see what you see. You didn't allow yourself to make the choice to choose. You didn't allow yourself to put yourself on the altar to allow you to understand that if it is going to be something that I'm going to be connected with, I am going to lay here and I'm going to expose my truths, because I'm no longer afraid of not knowing, but I am strong enough to learn what I don't know in order for me to get to the point to where I'm learning more about when I feel a certain way, in order for me to be brave and encouraged to do it again. I'm gonna leave that alone. All right. Y'all be blessed. And remember, right here at Consistency is Currency, we're here every Monday through Friday at 7:30. I see y'all in the morning. Peace.